Hi guys, and welcome to this video where we apply what we learned so far. So in this video we're going to create a simple program that reads the value of two matrices and then prints the addition of those two matrices. So let's get started. So first of all, we're gonna ask the user to enter the dimensions for the matrices. So we're gonna be using the scanner class for this. So import java.util the scanner. Okay, so first of all, we need to create our scanner object. So scanner scan is equal to new scanner, and then we give it the system.in, and then we ask the user to enter the rows or the number of rows for the matrix. So system.out.print enter the number of rows, and then rows or int rows is equal to scan the next int to read this integer, and then we're gonna repeat the same but for the columns, right? The number of columns, and then here goals for columns. Okay, so now we have the dimensions for the matrices. So we want to read the first matrix and then read the second one. So I'm gonna create a method that's going to read these matrices from the user and then returns the matrix to us. So let's create this method. Private static is gonna return a 2D array, which is our matrix. So int and then two square brackets. I'm gonna name this method create matrix. Okay, and we're gonna give it the dimensions for the matrix. So int rows and then int columns. Okay, so the first thing to do is actually create our matrix object or our 2D array object. So int, I'm gonna name it mat for matrix. So int mat, but remember it's a 2D array, so we have a two square brackets is equal to new int, and then inside the square brackets I'm gonna place in the rows and then the columns, right? And eventually we're gonna return this matrix, so return mat. And all we need to do inside here is actually loop over each element of the matrix and ask the user to fill it. So I'm gonna make a for loop. So for int I equals 0, I is less than rows, I plus plus, so it's an iteration over the rows, and then another iteration over the columns. So for j or int j is equal to 0, j is less than the columns, j plus plus. So what we need to do is actually ask the user to enter the element at this position. So system.out.println, or let's just make it print, enter the element at position, then plus I, then plus, and then comma, plus j. So basically we just ask the user to enter the value for this position in the array. So we're gonna read the value in an integer. So int val is equal to scan the next int, but actually scan is not defined in this code. because we created it in the main function. So basically what we need to do is create another scan object inside this function. So right before this here, I'm gonna declare scanner scan is equal to new scanner, and we give it the system.in, right? And then we're good to go. Okay, so now we need to put this val inside the matrix in position I and j. So mat of I of j is equal to val. As simple as this. Alright. So after running these two for loops, we're gonna end up with a filled matrix, which we're gonna return at the end of the function, right? So this create matrix method is going to create our matrix for us. So what I'm gonna want to do is actually tell the user system.out.println, please fill matrix A. Okay, and then we're going to create the matrix A. So int square brackets mat A, which stands for matrix A, is equal to create matrix, and then we give it the rows and columns. So rows and columns, right? So now the user fills in matrix A, and we do the same for matrix B. So I'm gonna copy this code right here. I'm gonna paste it, and I'm gonna change this to mat B, and this to matrix B right here. Okay, so reaching this line of code, we end up with two matrices, mat A and mat B, filled with data. Alright, what we're gonna do now is actually add these matrices. So I'm going to create a method to add these matrices. So private static int double square brackets add matrix. Okay, and then it's gonna take actually two matrices. So it's gonna take add to the array int double square brackets, and then we'll just pass in mat A, then int double square brackets mat B. So now we pass in our two matrices. Okay, then we're going to create a new matrix that is going to store the result. So int then double square brackets I'm gonna name it mat C, for example. Is gonna equal to new int of then the rows and columns. Okay, so actually we don't have the rows and columns right here. So to get the rows and columns, the rows are gonna actually be, so int rows are gonna be the length of the matrix. So mat A dot length. All right, and then the columns is going to be the length of the array in a certain element in mat A. And what I mean by this is that in calls it's going to be mat A of 0, for example, dot length. All right, so these are the columns. You can do it this way. You can pass in here the rows and columns, whatever you're comfortable with. So the new matrix dimensions is going to be, here's the rows, here's the columns. We now created our result matrix, which we're going to eventually return. So return mat C. Okay, and now we're going to perform the addition. So we're going to make two for loops like we did before in reading the inputs. So for int I equals 0, I is less than rows, I plus plus, sorry, 0, for int j equals 0, j is less than columns, j plus plus. Then what we're gonna want to do is actually put in mat C of I of J is equal to mat A I of J plus mat B I of J. So we're basically adding the element at the I and J position in matrix A to the element at matrix B at positions I and J, and we put the result in I and J in matrix C. Just as simple as this, right? So that's it with the addition. So right now I'm gonna create our matrix C right here. So int double square brackets, mat C. It's gonna be equal to add matrix, and then we pass in the mat A and then mat B, right? Okay, so now mat C is a matrix with the same dimension as mat A and mat B, and it actually contains the summation of mat A and mat B. Alright, so what we're going to want to do now is actually create a method to print the matrix, right? So I'm going to create a method right here, private static void, because it does not return anything. It just adds the matrix. It just prints the matrices. So I'm gonna name it print matrix, right? And it's gonna take a matrix. So int double square brackets mat, all right? And then right here, we're gonna create our rows and columns variables. So int rows is equal to mat length, and then int columns is gonna be mat of 0 length. Alright, and then we're gonna loop over the matrix. So for int I equals 0, I is less than rows, I plus plus. For int j equals 0, j is less than columns, j plus plus. And what we're gonna want to do is actually print this element at the position I and j. So system.out.println. Okay, I'm not gonna use the print line. I'm gonna use the print because I want to print the first row beside each other, not under each other. So I'm gonna use the print function or the print method, and then we want to print mat of I of j, and then I'm gonna just append a space at the end. And when we finish printing a row, I want to print a new line with the second row. So I'm gonna just type in here system.out.println, and we're not gonna give it a thing to print, just to print a new line. Alright, so that's it with the print matrix method. So I'm gonna call the print matrix method and give it the matrix C that we created. So mat C, and it should print our matrix. So just a quick recap of what we have done. We actually ask the user to enter the number of rows and number of columns, for which are actually the dimension for the matrices, matrix A and matrix B, and then we fill in the values for matrix A, and then we do the same for matrix B, and then we add the two matrices A and B, and finally we print the result of the matrix addition. Alright, so let's test out our program. Let's run it. So I'm gonna be creating a 2x2 matrix. So the number of rows is 2 and the number of columns 2. Okay, then we're gonna fill position 0 0. I'm gonna put 1. I'm gonna put 2. I'm gonna put 3. I'm gonna put 4. For matrix B, I'm gonna put the same numbers: 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then here we go. this is the addition of the two matrices. Alright, just for a good visualization, I think we should add just add a like a column here, something, and we should be good to go. Okay, so that's it, guys, for this quick tutorial for an application for what we've learned so far. And until next time, see you.